Snow drifted across the empty train platform as if the night itself was trying to hide the loneliness sitting on the far bench. Mara pulled her thin coat tighter, but the icy air still slipped through, settling on her skin like a reminder of everything she had lost. She kept her eyes lowered, hoping no one noticed her trembling hands or the suitcase that held the last pieces of her life. She had been invisible for weeks, moving from shelter to station, station to street, until a soft voice broke through the cold. "Miss, are you okay?" She lifted her gaze and froze. Two little girls stood only a few feet away, bundled in matching red coats, their bright scarves fluttering with every gust of wind. Their eyes, wide, curious, and far too knowing for children their age, studied her in silence. Before Mara could respond, one of them stepped closer with an unexpected gentleness. "You look cold," she whispered as if stating a truth no one else dared to speak. Mara tried to smile, tried to assure them she was fine, but the lie caught in her throat. And in that small pause, the other twin leaned forward, her tiny voice carrying something that struck straight through the winter air. "Daddy says everyone needs a place, but you look like you need someone too." Mara felt the ground shift beneath her. She had no idea that this single moment, this simple kindness, was about to change everything in ways she never imagined. Mara opened her mouth to speak, but footsteps echoed across the platform, brisk and purposeful. A tall man in a charcoal coat hurried toward the twins, his expression tight with worry. "Lena, Emma, don't run off like that," he said, breath visible in the cold air. But the girls didn't move. They simply pointed toward Mara, their small faces filled with a seriousness that didn't match their age. The man followed their gaze, and when his eyes settled on Mara, something shifted. Surprise first, then concern, then something softer he quickly tried to hide. Mara instinctively lowered her head, embarrassed to be seen in such a fragile state. She expected him to usher the girls away. Instead he stepped closer. "Did they bother you?" he asked gently. She shook her head. "No. They were kind." The twins exchanged a proud glance, then Emma tugged on her father's sleeve. "Daddy, she's alone," she whispered, as if sharing a secret that needed action. Lena chimed in, "And we don't want people to be alone. Mommy didn't like that." The man's breath caught, his posture stiffening for a heartbeat. Mara sensed pain there, fresh, unspoken, heavy. Before she could look away, Emma stepped even closer to her, eyes shining with a courage only children possess. "We think you need a home," she said softly, "and we need someone who cares like Mommy did." The world seemed to stop. Mara felt the cold fade, replaced by a confusion she wasn't ready for, a warmth she didn't think she deserved. She didn't know it yet, but this unexpected plea was only the beginning of a truth that would test every part of her heart. The words hung in the air, more powerful than the winter wind, and Mara felt her pulse stumble. She should have stood up, stepped back, created distance, but her legs wouldn't move. The twins' father knelt next to his daughters, his voice low, steady, but laced with something fragile. "Girls, you can't say things like that to someone you just met." But even he didn't sound convinced. Emma shook her head stubbornly. "We're not saying something silly. We mean it." Lena nodded, eyes fixed on Mara with startling sincerity. "She looks like someone who would hug soft." That simple sentence cracked something inside Mara she didn't know was still breakable. The man rubbed his forehead as if fighting a battle no one else could see. When he looked back at Mara, his voice softened. "I'm sorry. They lost their mother not long ago." Mara's chest tightened. Suddenly their boldness, their longing, their tenderness made heartbreaking sense. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Truly." The man nodded, but the twins weren't finished. Emma reached into her little backpack, pulling out a pair of fuzzy socks decorated with tiny hearts. She held them out with both hands. "Your feet must be so cold. Mommy said we should always share warmth." Mara stared at the small offering, her throat burning. No one had given her anything out of kindness in months, yet here were two children handing her comfort without hesitation. She tried to return the socks, but Emma gently pushed them back into her palms. "Please," she whispered, "let us help." And as Mara accepted them, something unexpected flickered to life, a fragile hope she hadn't felt in a very long time. Mara slipped the tiny socks over her cold feet, the soft fabric warming her faster than she expected. The twins beamed, proud of their small victory, but their father watched with an expression torn between gratitude and hesitation. He opened his mouth as if to speak, then closed it again, struggling with something he wasn't ready to name. "We should get going," he finally managed. But the girls didn't budge. Lena took Mara's hand with quiet certainty, her small fingers warm against Mara's chilled skin. You shouldn't stay here alone, she said softly. It feels sad here. Emma nodded. Daddy says people matter more than rushing. Right, Daddy? He froze, caught in his daughter's simple truth. Mara gently pulled her hand back, shaking her head. Sweethearts, thank you. But I don't want to trouble you. I'm used to managing on my own. Emma stepped closer, eyes shining with a mix of innocence and wisdom far beyond her years. But sometimes, she whispered, people who manage on their own need help the most. Mara felt her breath catch. Those words hit deeper than she expected, stirring memories she'd buried beneath months of survival. The man exhaled slowly, looking at her again, really looking this time. Not at the worn coat or the tired eyes, but at the person beneath the hardship. Do you have somewhere safe tonight? He asked gently. Mara hesitated. The truth hovered on her lips, heavy and uncertain. And before she could speak, a distant announcement echoed across the station. Their train was arriving. The twins still refused to move. Mara felt a strange tension building, as if this moment was poised to decide more than just where she would sleep. It felt like a turning point, one she never expected and wasn't sure she deserved. But the night wasn't finished with her, not yet. The train's headlights poured across the platform, casting long shadows that trembled with the cold. Mara stood, instinct urging her to step back into the quiet corner where she could disappear again, unseen and unneeded. But Lena's tiny hand shot out, gripping her coat with unexpected strength. Please don't go back there, she whispered, eyes wide with worry. Emma hurried to her other side. If you stay alone, we'll feel sad all night. Their father glanced between them and Mara, conflict tightening his jaw. He wasn't a careless man, Mara could see that. He weighed every choice, every risk, but beneath all that caution was something gentler, something still healing. Girls, he began softly, we can't decide someone's life in a moment. Emma shook her head. Maybe moments choose us. Lena added, Mommy said kindness finds people who need it most. Mara felt her heart twist. She had spent months believing she didn't deserve kindness anymore, that life had quietly moved on without her. But these children, these bright, believing hearts, saw her differently. The train doors opened with a hiss, passengers rushing past them in a blur of noise and steam. The twins didn't move. Instead, Emma looked up at her father with trembling hope. Daddy, what if this is the moment Mommy meant? He closed his eyes briefly, as if the weight of their innocence was almost too much. When he opened them again, his gaze met Mara's, not with pity this time but with a quiet, searching sincerity. If we walk away, he said slowly, you'll be out here in the cold. And I'm not sure I can explain to them, or to myself, why we did nothing. Mara felt her breath falter. For the first time in months, someone wasn't looking past her. Someone was choosing to see her. And that realization shook her more than the winter wind ever could. Mara stared at the open train doors, light spilling onto the platform like an invitation she never expected. The twins stepped forward together, their little boots crunching against scattered snow. Emma held out her hand, small but steady. Come with us, she whispered. Just for tonight. So you're warm. Lena nodded, her voice even softer. And maybe, so we're not missing someone anymore. Mara's chest tightened painfully. She wanted to refuse, she had nothing to offer, nothing to give in return. But the twins' hope was radiant, almost trembling, as if they were afraid she would vanish if they blinked. Their father stepped beside them, his expression no longer conflicted, but calm and brave in a way she hadn't expected. It's not charity, he said quietly. It's compassion. And compassion is something my girls are trying to teach me again. The train doors chimed, warning they would close soon. Mara looked at her worn suitcase, then at the long, empty platform behind her. Every direction she'd walked these past months had led to loneliness, closed doors and silent nights. But this moment, unexpected, undeserved, unreal, felt like the first open door she'd seen in a long time. Slowly, almost fearfully, she placed her hand in Emma's. Warm. Real. Immediate. Lena grabbed her other hand with a bright smile that thawed something deep inside her. The father exhaled softly, relieved yet unsure of what came next. Let's get you somewhere safe, he said. As they stepped onto the train together, Mara felt a strange, fragile hope bloom within her, small but steady, like a light refusing to go out. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time in a long while, she wasn't walking into it alone.